they're like, hey, this is too good to be true. What's the catch here, right?
Yeah.
So I told her up front, I like, hey, this is my first deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you all the numbers. You can analyze it. I'm willing to give up more just because I want to earn your business, right? I don't really care how, about earning that much. I just want to get my feet wet.
in. Yeah.
Totally.
So that was my pitch to her. So I sent her everything, all my due diligence, paperwork and stuff like that, and she came through. Yeah, like just a few days before closing. And this is when I learned, like, hey, you gotta have the funds like 3 days before you record, all this. So yeah, it was buying a house on steroids.
Welcome to the Deals and Aloha Podcast, where we talk about real estate deals, hope to leave a lasting impact on our audience, and of course, spread aloha. Please find us on Instagram, TikTok, all the social media networks at Kamohai and Tristan. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tristan Kalama. This is my husband, Kamohai. And as he said, this is DNA Podcast. And today we have super special guests that we look up to. And I think you were one of the, if not the first investors we reached out to, and you had lunch with us when we were babies.
Totally remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is HI HOMEBUYERS, Dodgeron Meredith and Edgar Gebauer. They do fix and flips, ground up construction, CPR, all the super cool projects that we don't want to do. They do. So
or we aspire to do, but we just can't do yet. But yeah. Super stoked to have you guys.
But yeah, let's jump in. So how did you guys get into real estate?
Well, first off, I'd like to say aloha. Thank you for inviting us. This is actually pretty cool. Hope to have my podcast one day.
There you go.
So, but yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, we appreciate it being on here. I guess I'll start like how we got into it was the question.
Yeah. Both
how
of you guys
did you
can
get
share.
into real estate?
Yeah. So we actually did not get together until kind of later, after probably a couple of deals of our own. Okay. And then we connected. But for me, how I got into it was I was actually a student at UH doing my undergrad in architecture. And my wife and I were actually kind of looking at buying a home at the time. We were renting. We actually still are renting, technically. And I was at UH. She sent me a Facebook ad that was Fortune Builders. So she's like, hey, go check this out. They're talking about buying real estate, right? So I went to it, and it just made sense. Everything that they were talking about made sense. In fact, at the time, my brother just bought a house, and I was helping him with his permits. He actually got a real killer deal on a house. It was actually his neighbors, his in-laws' neighbors that they bought, because they were living with his in-laws at the time.
Nice.
So he bought it at a good deal, and I'm like, man, there's got to be other good deals out there, right?
Right.
And that got me interested in real estate investing. And of course, my background is in construction, architecture, that kind of stuff. So when I was in school and she sent me this Facebook ad, naturally I was like, I had to attend. So I went to this, I think it was a couple hours intro. And they said, hey, if you guys really want to learn more about real estate investing, come to our 3-day event. But you got to drop $500.
Yeah. I remember that.
So I was standing at the door. I'm like, frick, I'm a student, right? Students don't make that much, college student. I just got paid doing a side job for some drawings for some families. And it just so happens I had the $500 on me. So I remember distinctly, I'm like, man, this is a lot of money. There's another guy next to me complaining too as well. He actually was pretty verbal. He was like, is there any way I can attend that 3-day event for free?
Yeah.
And the guy that was collecting the funds said, actually, it was free. But we learned that if we don't have people put skin in the game, they're not going to take it seriously.
Yeah. Totally.
So when he said that, I was like, you know what? I got to take a chance, right? So I dropped the $500, went to the 3-day event. In fact, I literally just put my family on the plane with her family. My in-laws were doing a Disneyland trip, vacation, and I stayed behind. So I put them on the plane. They left. Then I came to the 3-day event. Everything was like just gold, right?
Yeah.
Then they told us how much to buy into it.
Right at the end.
Yeah.
They dropped another bomb. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I really want this.
Yeah.
I don't even have money.
Yeah.
But guess what? I have credit cards.
Yep.
Probably I wouldn't advise you to do this, right? But maxed out the credit cards to join the mentorship. And the drive from town, because I live North Shore, it's about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So that drive from town to home, that whole hour, I was just role playing in my head. How am I going to tell my wife, who's in Disneyland with our firstborn, was turning 1, that I just maxed out. It wasn't a small amount too, right?
Right.
Yeah, you could buy a car with that amount.
Yeah. No, totally.
A brand new car.
And pay it all off one time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
cash. Yeah.
A good car too.
Right.
Yeah, a nice car, right? So, role playing in my head. How am I gonna tell her what I just did? So that was more. It felt like more than an hour's drive at the time.
Yeah.
And then had that conversation. Surprisingly enough, she was very supportive. Like she's like, hey, I think you can do it. Let's do it.
Nice.
So, but she did tell me, you got to choose between going to school or doing this full time, because you can't do both at the same time.
Right.
Because my plan was to still do my undergrad and do this part time. But she said, we're dropping a lot of money down. So we had this.
Just dropped your college education fund.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I still have my student loans.
Right.
I just added some more to that.
Totally.
Yeah.
But she's very supportive of me. Yeah, that's how I got into Fortune Builders.
Nice.
Yeah, and actually it was through Fortune Builders I met this handsome guy next to me.
Handsome brother next to you.
So is your story similar? Were you at the same seminar as him, or?
Very similar. Not the exact same seminar, but yeah, attended the same 3-day event by the same real estate education, I guess, company, Fortune Builders, right?
Yep.
So, but different background. I did 18 years of electronic retail. So it was
Nice.
something I found to be a lot of fun early on in my career. I was really into cars, electronics, and that sort of, allowed me to pursue my passions. And then I got into leadership for 10 plus years and sort of hit a wall. So, and my wife recognized that and was like, maybe we should try a transition and change direction. So she signed me up for the seminar.
Do you guys hear a common theme here?
There is a common thread here because,
Between
guys,
these 3 men right here.
I'll tell you right now, I was dragged into the seminar from my wife, so
I dragged her into it, right?
Yeah.
But she supported me. But
Yeah, there you go.
So
There you
same
go. Yeah, totally.
It's
Big time.
so funny.
That's
The
awesome.
saying is true, right? Happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah,
So-
you said it.
Live by that. Have to.
Sometimes we do know what we're talking about. Sometimes.
Life is not complicated. So, we both agreed that there was probably a need for a change of direction and possibly a new career. A lot of it was similar, right? All the tools and the training and education that the corporate retail background gave me transitioned really easy into running a small business, which is
Totally.
what real estate investment is.
Yeah.
And let's see here. I didn't immediately leave my job. I transitioned. I launched my entity, which was HI Homes at the time. And then later on down the path, meeting up with Doge and linking up, I was able to unplug and fire my boss of 10 plus years, and when we formed HI HOMEBUYERS.
Yeah.
So it was
That is so cool.
it's good reflecting back and listening to that story. It sort of reemphasizes the why behind why we wake up every day and do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you both started out from Fortune Builders and you both were doing it independently on your own, right? So how many deals did you guys do separately, and how did you guys find each other and were like, yes, you know, this sounds like it could work. We should be partners. Like, talk about that.
Yeah, it was actually, so I think it was a second deal, or we did one deals together because we were just like fairly new. And then I think it was the second or third deal we got together. But my first deal was actually in Haleiwa on North Shore. So I found that deal on online auction. And it wasn't actually an auction. It was a traditional listing. But it was listed by the auction site. And then the agent, I think, was a mainland agent, right?
Yeah.
So it really did not get that exposure that it should have. So not a lot of people
got to see it.
Right. But I saw it. I'm like, man,
Which
this
worked
is actually
to your benefit.
Yeah, because I'm just, you know, not too far from Haleiwa. I know the area. It's a great town. So I saw it. I'm like, man, no one's making offers on it. But they were actually, I think at the time, about 600.
Okay.
So I logged in, created a profile, and made an offer on it. But they rejected it. It was too low. So, but at the same time, I was just doing the online education with Fortune Builders, taking advantage of the coaching calls, and then just going out there networking with agents, going to open houses, just taking action.
Totally.
Yeah. So when I was doing that, and then at the same time, I was, you know, just checking up on those auction sites. So I when I created a profile, I also created notifications, like if there's anything that comes up, an update on this property, you know, I'll get a notification.
Right.
So it was spring break of 2017. I got the notification. We're actually at the water park with my family, and the notification came, hey, they dropped the price. You know,
nice.
So I'm like, okay, I think there's some motivation here.
Yeah.
So I jumped in again with my low offer was actually 300.
Okay. So same offer. You just
threw it again.
Threw it again.
Yeah.
Okay. How long was that from when you first offered till you got that second notification?
I think it was, I want to say a couple of months. It was a few months. Yeah. So I think they dropped it down like 100,000 from 600 something to 500. Went back my 300.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I just throw it. I'm at the park. 300, right?
Yeah.
And then it came back. They countered me. I'm like, oh, what do I do, right?
Holy crap.
So they countered me at 400.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I'm at the water park. I'm like, okay. So I started running numbers in my head. I'm like, okay, I think I can meet them in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Because they're coming down. So I'm not gonna do the 300 again. Let's do 357, 799. That was just a number I had in my head.
Okay.
Threw it out there, and then the next thing came. They accepted it.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I was so excited. It was the best day at that time, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they gave me 21 days to close. Actually, 25 days to close. 357, 799 was the offer. I needed to put 7,000 down as an earnest money deposit.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't even have 7,000. I just
Yeah.
maxed out my credit card.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm in debt.
Yeah.
Massive amounts.
Exactly, right? And then I don't even have 350,000
Right.
to my name.
Right.
Yep.
But you know, I trusted the process, trusted the education I got, and I signed that contract. I went to my personal line of credit.
Yeah.
Again, leverage your credits, yeah. So great advice, right?
Yeah. If used properly.
Strategic, tactical.
Yeah,
Right.
it was a good debt. Anyways, so
Yeah.
pulled the 7K from that, dropped it in, and then time is ticking.
Yeah.
I had 25 days, right?
Super non-stressful 25 days,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
smooth
never bought a
sailing.
house before.
Yeah.
I'm renting, right?
Right.
You know, there's nothing could happen.
Yeah.
But so I did that, and I started just hustling. Like, where am I going to find the funds? First thing I did was hard money lender. That they teach you, hey, take it to hard money lenders, see how much they would fund you. So I took it to Grand Coast Capital, which is affiliated with Fortune Builders.
Yeah.
Just because it's hard for first-time investors to get a hard money loan, but if you're in the same network with Fortune Builders, Grand Coast Capital is willing to look at it. So I sent it to them, and I believe the loan to value they gave me was about 63%.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, 63%.
Yeah.
With the purchase and the rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And now I needed to raise an additional 150 is what I needed.
Okay.
So actually I think I needed like 100. It was less than 150, but I overborrowed because, again, I'm like, okay, I'm in debt.
Right. I got no money.
Yeah, I can't service this mortgage, so I got to overborrow.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, right? So I'm like, okay, where do I get this fund? So Fortune Builders has a Facebook page, a secret group Facebook page just for members only.
Yep.
So I went on there just like everyone else. I just posted my deals, right? But I threw out some really generous numbers, and my main thing was to get someone's attention at least.
Yeah.
So my ask was, hey, I'm looking to borrow 150 in points instead of just like one. Or I was gonna give them 20,000 in points.
Okay.
And 15% interest on it. So that was my pitch.
Yeah. That was the pitch.
That was a pitch, and surprisingly enough, I had some interest come my way, and one in particular was from Texas. She's a investor too as well, her and her husband, and they're like, hey, this is too good to be true. What's the catch here, right?
Yeah.
So I told her up front, hey, this is my first deal. I'll send you all the numbers. You can analyze it. I'm willing to give up more just because I want to earn your business, right?
Yep.
And I don't really care how about earning that much. I just want to get my feet wet.
Totally.
So that was my pitch to her. So I sent her everything, all my due diligence, paperwork and stuff like that, and she came through. Yeah, like just a few days before closing. And this is when I learned, like, hey, you got to have the funds like 3 days before you record. All this. So it was buying a house on steroids. That was the experience. If I was to put it in words, it was just nuts. Almost did not make that timeline, but we got it through.
First run was super smooth, I'm sure.
Yeah. Straight up easy. Yeah.
But did I mention it was sight unseen?
Oh no, man. Nice.
It was sight unseen because they said that there might be squatters in there. They weren't too sure. All I could do was drive by.
Okay.
So, and that's what I did. I drove by. Couldn't really tell what was going on. So, but yeah, bought it for $3,577.
Nice.
So I'm sorry, Dodge. This is a home on the North Shore.
Yeah.
For how much?
$350.
Single family home, not a condo.
Right.
Yeah, single family home.
This must have been 30 years ago, or
right?
No.
Yeah. So cool.
But yeah, that's how I got my first deal. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's some things to note in there. I love the fact that you understood that you were in your first deal, right? And that you might have to give up some things, right, in order to get that deal secured, the private money secured. I think that's super valuable for newer people to understand that sometimes, right, like there's so much value in just getting the experience and your feet wet. Don't be greedy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I want to add, it took me 6 months to get that first deal because I actually went through a lot of other deals, but the numbers did not make sense.
Got it.
As much as I was itching for the right deal, I'm like, you know what? I invested a lot of money or a lot of debt into this education. I got to trust the systems, yeah? So I think my folder at the time, I had like more than 30 different addresses, but all of them did not make sense on the numbers, so I just passed on that until this one opened up. I realized that I need to add value to get value back.
Right.
So that's why I went all out on offering that much.
Right.
And you stuck to your buy box. I feel like new investors were so antsy to get a deal that you're like, okay, but the numbers don't totally work, but I can bend them a little,
but maybe
right?
I can push the ARV.
You know what I
maybe
mean?
my rehab's not going to be that much. and they try and make the numbers work.
But that's where you get into a lot of trouble, right? Because you have to stick to your buy box, and you have to be conservative with your numbers. And it took you 6 months and a bunch of, I'm sure, other offers.
Tons of other offers.
We were making offers
for you to land that one, you know? And I think that's totally normal, and that's what people should expect. Sometimes even longer. Right? Yeah. So what about you?
I guess first deal, right?
Yeah. First deal.
So first deal was off auction.com.
And
Auction site.
There you go.
Sight unseen as well.
Nice.
But I was a little more conservative with a condo. So going through the process and analyzing the deal, it seemed like a safe bet. So fortunately, I was able to leverage a lot of personal credit to sort of fund the remaining. After a hard money lender sort of took care of roughly 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab. So it was in Kaneohe. The cool part about this transaction is, I never realized that you could buy a house on your phone.
Yeah.
And, I was on my way to a mastermind or a boot camp for fortune builders in San Francisco and landed in SFO, and I pulled my phone out. When I left Hawaii, I knew I was on the last few hours.
Right.
So I put in a couple, a last bid. I was on the top. I was like, all right, I'll see you in 5 hours.
Yeah.
Landed and opened my phone, and sure enough, somebody outbid me. And while I was waiting to, get off the plane, I was dropping bids.
Yeah.
That must have been a stressful 5-hour flight, right?
A lot of emotion, and then even more so when I still haven't left the plane. I was still waiting for the doors to open up when the auction closed, and I was the winner. I was like,
Dude.
what do I do next?
Yeah. Now what? Right.
I know, we all know that feeling, man.
Yeah, it's a successful project. Learned to work with a general contractor and through the processes that we're taught, right? The how to build out the scope of work and all that stuff. So it was really nice to see what you educate yourself for, what you train for, actually come to be, and it be a win. Yeah. It was super cool. Yeah.
You both had proof of concept. You're like, okay, I can do this, and it works, and I can repeat the process.
Yep.
Exactly.
And then the other key is you guys are both taking massive action, right? So yes, you got educated, you're in the program, but you're actually taking the steps to make something happen.
Correct.
I feel like a lot of people can get stuck in that more analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And just by your stories, you guys didn't have it all figured out, right?
No.
You literally got the house, and then you're like,
figured it out after that.
What do I do now, right? And figured that out.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, in fact, on Fortune Builders, they have, I think, 7 core curriculums. I think I only done 2 of it, right? And then I was, just going out there, right? Put in some work. And, I was able to land that deal without having gone through the whole,
right?
But, there's certain things where I don't understand. I was like, okay, let me go back and get some answers on this. And things
totally.
like that. Yeah.
Which is the benefit of mentorship, right? And having a community, or at least people that you can go to, because you don't have to have it all figured out. You can rely on what you paid for, your investment, right? Yeah. That's the benefit of mentorship. And that's why we believe firmly in education too. So both of your guys' deals was in 2017. Is that correct?
I think it was 2016. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
2016,
Okay.
2017.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So now fast forward to how you guys found each other and doing your first deal together
was it?
and actually being let's be business partners.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that.
My brother, he's an electrician.
Okay.
He was at Best Buy buying something from this guy.
No
Oh,
way.
okay.
Somehow they got into a conversation about real estate, right? And he called me up. My brother called me. He was like, Sole, I met this other Sole over there at Best Buy. Yeah.
He's doing real estate.
Yeah, he said he joined Fortune Builders just like you. It's like, oh yeah, what's his name? It's Edgar. It's like, okay, give me his number.
How did
So
you find him?
yeah. So we connected that way, and then also at the meetups. Fortune
Right.
Builders had some local meetups here and there, right?
Right.
And that's kind of how we met up. In fact, we did those deals on our own, and then he called me and said, hey, I have a coworker. This guy says he has a multifamily in Waipahu, and the family, him and his siblings, are looking to sell it off market. And I'm like, shoots, we never done multifamily before, right?
So your first deal together was a multifamily?
It was a multifamily.
Yeah.
Dude,
Technically
that's so
commercial.
awesome.
It was,
Yeah,
8
yeah.
doors on it. So.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
commercial. You bought an
Yeah.
apartment building?
yeah, not knowing. So we were approaching it like a single family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everything we were doing, like analyzing like a single family, and then it wasn't until we got to the loan process. They're like, hey, anything over 4 units is commercial, right? And we're like, oh, okay, we didn't know. Now we know. So they're like, we need rent rolls, financials,
Yeah.
cap rates, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah,
okay, we haven't reached that level yet, but let's start.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just went into the
How do I
education.
find what a cap rate is?
Yeah. So we're like, okay, let's go back to the education, find those answers, and figure it from there. But yeah, he reached out and said, hey, I have a coworker. Actually, I'll let him tell the story.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. Let's go.
But you know, going back to my first flip, what helped me during that with a lot of unknowns was, you know, and a lot of us have people within our network that specialize in things, right? I'm
Totally.
pretty sure that we have a friend that's in construction.
Mhm.
Yep.
We have a friend that's in lending. We have a friend, so what helped me through that project was tapping into those relationships and having to come over and ask questions, right? I think a good message here is to ask for help and,
Yes.
and don't
Totally.
be too prideful. And there's no bad situation that nobody hasn't gone through already,
Right.
right? So my second flip was a single family home with extensive construction. After getting to a meet and greet with Doge and knowing his background, I started consulting with him, and this was in Waianae, and it was he gave me a lot of motivation and encouragement and pointers on what to do, but at the same time he let me sort of do my thing and you know, let me make my mistakes, which I appreciate the most, right? Because that's
Yeah.
the absolute way to sort of
Right.
learn, right?
Yeah.
So it was after that, or during or after that project, that deal sort of landed on our doorstep, and you know, I was absolutely intimidated. I'm already getting my butt kicked in Waianae with
Yeah.
this single family home. I'm still working, you know, full time, so I was like, I need to phone a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you
Big time.
know, I called Dodge up, and I was like, "This is what we have, man. Let's take a look at it." And
Yeah, I think what happened was he was picking out appliances at Best Buy. When your coworker's like, hey, where's the appliances going? And he said, oh, I'm doing a flip.
yeah,
Nice.
And he's like, oh, we own a bunch of rentals, including this multifamily. It's 8 units. Me and my siblings are looking to offload. It needs some work. But yeah, we're willing to offload it if you guys want to buy it. So he calls me and we're like, man, we've never done anything like that, but let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's
Right?
figure it out.
YOLO.
Yep, name of the game.
yeah.
Dude,
So when we got to the table and we started trying to figure out how to sort of set this up, it's really cool. Before we were HI HOMEBUYERS or HHB, we were the Flipping Usos.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
I never knew that.
You should have kept that name. It's so
Flipping
good.
Usos. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
so.
So yeah, we had a real nice
You
logo.
need to make shirts,
Yeah.
bro. Like,
So
come
we had the
on.
We still
logo
own
with-
that name.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think the logo had like a salmon fale and,
Yeah.
and a palm tree, of course, right? And, and,
Some tatau on it.
some traditional tatau on it.
Oh,
But
that's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we created the entity to take on this project, and then again, we're like, okay, where do we get the money from, right? So we got it under contract for 700.
700.
Dude.
That's
700.
a good deal.
ARV, it was around 1.445 at the time. So we're
Yeah.
like, okay, we got under
Spread
contract
in
for
there.
700.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
a big margin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, we can figure this out.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, there's 8 units. How do we figure out the rehab? Oh, easy. Times by 8, right?
Yeah.
Go to each unit,
Yeah.
figure out your scope of work, times it by 8.
Yep.
So when we times it by 8, it came out to 300,000. So we're like, okay, we need to raise 1 mil. We haven't raised that much money at that time.
Mm.
Yeah, because I've only raised like the 300
Right.
plus the 150, about 400,
Yeah.
under 500, and similar to him. So we're like, okay, now we're moving.
We're moving
Our
up
numbers
to a
up,
different
right?
caliber
So-
of person, right?
Yep.
Who can we talk to that has 1 mil? So we were running it through Harmony Lender, and then that's when we got introduced to cap rates,
Yeah.
even the grade of location. Like there's your A, your
A,
B,
B,
C's. So Waipahu unfortunately wasn't a great location according to the lenders, right? The Harmony Lender was telling us you needed, do this, and that, and so forth. Anyways, we we're nearing our last contingency to get out of the contract.
Okay.
We actually had $15K at risk as our earnest money deposit.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're like, man, we're running out of time. We haven't figured out the money yet. There's got to be money out there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, our 5K was at risk. And we're like, what should we do? So it was me, him, and another friend. We got on the phone, and we're like, okay, let's do a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Again, we're just making some real... I wouldn't advise you to do it. Right? So we did a Hail Mary. So we were like, okay, let's drop another 10 to extend our J1, yeah. So
Right.
drop 10, and we're in it. There's no backing out at this
Yeah.
time, right?
Right.
So we dropped another 10. We're in 15K. There's no point of return here. You either get your 15K back by finding a mill, or you lose it.
Right.
So yeah, how we found the money was when these guys went out networking.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll let Edgar tell that story.
Yeah, our silent partner, or my wife, Dulcie, she's been a realtor since our first flip, and actually that was her first transaction as a realtor, which was super cool. So we just went to a networking party, and that was, I believe, around real estate, and we were just talking about what we're doing and what we're trying to do. And people who were interested, we were introducing the possibility of lending on the deal, and we found a fish, and we pulled that fish in and showed them our due diligence in terms of our assessment of the deal,
Right.
or the executive summary. And the cool thing is the hard money lenders didn't agree with us with our valuations. They actually declined to fund us. So we
Wow.
absolutely needed
You needed
a private lender. Exactly.
Right.
And
Dude, that's scary.
For
it's
1
super
mil.
scary. Yeah.
Yeah, for 1 mil.
But we knew,
Our market.
We
Yeah.
knew our market. We're
Yeah.
the locals,
Right.
right? The hard money lenders are up there, and all they know is Honolulu versus Waipahu.
Right.
That's what they kept going back to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, going back to the big fish, he was asking the same questions, had similar concerns, but also agreed with us and saying like, "Hey, we know the local market. This is absolutely a deal, and he's willing to fund."
Wow.
So cool.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a fun one, and that sort of again just solidified our partnership, because I didn't feel confident by myself trying to take on a project that big. And again, I was still getting my butt kicked in Waianae on my first single family home, so I absolutely needed to build a team and support some support on this one. So
Totally.
I just want to reiterate this, that you raised $1 million just from networking, going to an event where like-minded people are hooing together and talking story, and you just started having conversations with people about what you needed with no shame, and you raised $1 million.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
It's
It's
crazy.
But that's the power
Yeah.
of networking and
Yeah.
putting yourself out there.
yep.
Yeah, your net worth is your network. That is so true. And we've done so many things just because of that. Just networking, just making and building relationships with people we never met before.
Totally.
And it's been awesome. So in fact, he came on, our private money lender, said, "Hey, I'll fund the whole thing." We're like, "Oh yeah?" Like, "Yeah, sweet." It's like, okay. So now we're negotiating, right? Okay, what do you want in return? Like, okay, we'll do, I'll fund it. I'll put a percentage on my interest on the money, and then we'll do 60-40.
Mm-hmm.
That was the split.
Equity
Okay.
split.
Nice.
So 60 to him, 40 to us.
Yep.
We ran the numbers. We're like, but we get our 15 back from our EMD, correct? And he's like, yeah, you get it back. It's like, okay. There were literally no money in the deal for us. We found the deal. We raised the mill, and we got our EMD back. So we're literally zero in the deal at this time.
Right.
So again, we're like 60-40. It's a good deal, man.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, we're not
We're
greedy.
making money.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's actually been one of the best deals we've done so far. I think personally, because we brought on a project manager at the time, and we put up Ring cameras too,
Okay.
because this is Waipahu, yeah.
Right.
So, and we only had like a little hammerjang chain link fence
For the driveway. Yeah.
like that's gonna stop
That's
somebody
security.
from going through, right? So we put
Yeah.
up the cameras and everything just to secure our investment and stuff. But surprisingly enough, that was the safest investment. No one really bothered the house, no vandalism, no nothing. We actually had some missionaries knock on the door. I'm like, hey, elders, sorry, there's no one living there. Yeah, but
tons of wins on that project. Just the community seeing what we were doing, trying to make it better. It was a little bit rougher part of Waipahu.
Yeah. Right.
When we were done and we were moving families in, because we needed to sell it occupied. You should have seen the people who were looking at the units. They're like, shocked with the quality that we put in there, right? The floors, the paint, the ceiling fan, the new appliances. And these families are looking like they won the lottery, right?
Yeah.
Especially on that street.
Right.
The other win on that project was the private lender absolutely was like, you guys are, you guys did a rock star job.
You guys had
on
a private
this.
lender for life.
Solidified a long-term relationship with him.
We've done a few more deals after that.
Yep. And we learned from him. So we saw how he did. He was a veteran. He was an absolute shark, and we appreciated that because we were taking notes. And now we have, his practices and his knowledge, and we can apply it into our business if we wanted to.
Totally.
Dude, I love that. I love the fact that you said, basically, it doesn't matter where you are, that people are going to be living back in these homes. And it doesn't matter if these people are renting the home or they're buying the home. There's something about making homes beautiful, right? HGTV standards, and what that does for people and how the effect it has on them. Because whether they're renting, and now it's pride of rentership, they enjoy being home. Because if you look on the market, right, in Hawaii specifically, to rent or to buy, are there tons of brand new, renovated, beautiful homes? No, you know? And so, but if you're able to provide that quality product, I feel like you're genuinely impacting people's lives because they have pride of ownership, pride of rentership. It has a ripple effect on every other aspect of their life. If they enjoy being home, there's nothing that they have to fix. Their space is beautiful. I mean, for me personally, I'm a big space. My environment affects me. If it's dirty, I don't feel good. If it's clean, I feel good. I'll be more productive. You know what I mean? So I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is that it doesn't matter where it is. People are living in these homes, so the quality of the product shouldn't change.
When it was up for sale and we were walking the potential buyer through, explaining what we did in terms of the project, you should have seen how bright his face was. It was his first investment property. Wow. It was a local small business owner. And he just wanted to invest it, and it was really cool hearing him. Normally you don't get in front of the buyer, right? You sort of want, you have your agents in front of that, but just hearing what he wanted to do with the property just solidified what we were trying to do in terms of improving the community, because all he wanted to do was take it up another level. What he was talking about plans. He was just so excited. And months or years later, we saw him actually executing on that. Like he wanted to upgrade the electrical on the building. We drove by months later, and sure enough, he had contractors out there, upgrading electrical. So it's sort of like from A to Z, it was just a perfect scenario.
You guys so cool. Left that community better than you found it, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you regret not keeping it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We know now. It's not so much regret. It's like the educational part, and like we can look back and say, okay, now we know this. We probably would have made the decision a little bit differently.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hindsight's always 20/20.
Hindsight's 20/20.
But I think the other reason why we chose to sell it too as well was because there's a partnership with our private money lender. So it was kind of like, okay, how do we keep this as a rental, right? But we chose to sell it and then take that money and reinvest. So after we sold that project, that's when we formed HI HOMEBUYERS. HHB. And
so you technically dated during that renovation, and then you got married after.
Then we got married.
Yeah.
And then our first child, first child together was a subject to.
Nice.
Love it.
Our first subject to.
Yeah. Wow. We to hear about that.
That was our first baby together. It was a
so for people that don't know, can you explain what subject to is?
So subject to is creative financing that we deploy as well as part of our strategies. But basically you take you buy the property subject to the existing mortgage. So and we gave them some money as a form of that was our down payment towards it, the purchase, and then that was the money that they needed to move on. So we buy it subject to the existing. So we just gotta raise the funds for the rehab, plus how much to purchase the property from the owners.
Nice. So how did you guys find that deal?
this guy found out?
Yeah, it was a marketing campaign, a mail campaign, I should more
letter.
specifically. Yeah. And, the owners were in distress, so they needed a lot of help. And it's actually a really sad story. So original homeowners in one of the master plan communities in Eva Beach.
One of the first ones that bought in the area.
Yeah, and they're on their third possible foreclosure because their yard wasn't being taken care of. They had brown
HOA
spots.
foreclosure.
So, that's it's really unfortunate. It is what it is. They do have their restrictions and covenants and whatnot, but they needed help, and so we stepped in and made sure they were taken care of. They were absolutely taken care of. Them being original homeowners or for like 20 plus years, when we had to sort of find a new home for them, we, had to help them fill out a lease document and explain to that and help them
relocate.
move, like load up their stuff, arrange for movers. It was
Actually,
but a lot of relief. You could see it on in their face and their energy. And when
They're like, wow, I have hope.
Yeah.
I have help and I have hope.
Yeah. So first appointment we went into, they were actually in the middle of packing. They had moving boxes here and there, it wasn't until they were packing and moving they found one of his mailers, and they were like, "Let's give this guy a call." And that's when we showed up. Yeah, the Usos, the
Usos. Sorry.
Yeah.
that was one of the names.
So the flipping Usos showed up. It's like, hey, we're not your movers, but we'll buy your house. Because we're usually the movers, right? Anyways, we showed up and
They were gonna walk away. They were just
gonna let it go.
They had no idea.
Oh my God.
And-
They had options.
Yeah.
And it was, I remember she was telling the story. She's like, us right now, we just come home after work, just turn on the TV because we can't sleep.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh
And
my
they
gosh.
just
They're
it was-
worried.
it's just
Worried,
so-
stressed.
Their mind is just going.
and it was just the vibe in there was just so unhealthy for them, right? And so we're like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We offered options. In fact, their son said, hey, don't do it, right? And we're like, we invited him to come sit down and talk with us, right? Or if anything, help your parents get out of this situation. So we set up a meeting. We were planning to go there, and the parents called us and said, oh, he's not coming. We're like, okay, well, it's really your decision to make. We're trying to give him an opportunity to help you guys, right? With our help. But he's not showing up. And they said he has his own problems too as well that he's trying to take care of.
Yeah.
So we made, we ran our numbers, we made our offer. And then this guy had a great recommendation. I'm like, let's go. And he's like, let's pull back a little bit and figure this thing out. Right. So he pulled back and he said, hey, what we're going to do to help you resolve your concern or feel a little bit more at peace is we're going to hire an attorney to represent you in this transaction.
Oh, nice.
We'll even pay for the attorney.
Love that.
Okay.
And then we're going to make our offer, and then you're going to have the attorney we paid for review it and represent you. Nice. So that's what we did. The attorney called back and said, you guys got to up your offer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He had to represent them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
He had to
Totally.
invest their
Makes
best interest.
totally
Yeah.
makes total sense.
So I'm like, man, that's a double-edged sword. We just went up and we're like, you know what? We're still in the green here.
Yeah.
People over profits, right?
Right.
Totally.
Always.
Totally.
So,
Yeah. I was concerned that they were, nearing the retirement age, and it's just wanted to make sure that we're operating with integrity. So it was a absolute win, and just to go back to the subject to part, right, and building off of the other, the individual flips that I completed and what he completed, it was just adding, courage into the toolbox to pull the other tools that we've educated ourselves with, and when we deployed it and it worked, and like everybody won, and that's the best part, right?
Yeah, big time.
I don't know if you guys notice our eyes light up when you're talking about
any kind of
sub-2.
creative finance. We're like, yes, we love that.
We love that.
Yeah.
But the main thing I want to point out is that you guys went above and beyond to genuinely help that family that thought there were no
options.
Yeah,
solutions.
no options. They were going to give up. They were going to walk
gonna
out.
let it go.
They're just going to
But
let
they
it
had
get
equity
foreclosed
in
on.
yard. Yeah.
Right. Over a yard. Right.
That's insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that you were able to utilize that tool of creative finance and sub-2 to solve a problem that literally let them move on from that phase of their life, and you guys were able to get into a deal with little to no money, right?
Correct.
And you had an attorney tell you.
Yeah, it's cool. It's pretty
I'm
cool.
gonna need
You
that
went-
attorney's name
I know.
because a lot of people think that sub-2 is illegal.
Yeah, I think the concern was just the purchase price and making sure it was a fair offer.
Yeah.
The the purchase contracts that even licensed realtors use have subject to as, so it's not illegal.
Yeah. Totally.
Did you no say that again to the camera? that
Subject to is real. It's probably called something different on the realtor side.
But it's on a HUD statement.
Yeah.
It shows up on the subject
totally.
to.
Totally.
Exactly.
So it's a real strategy.
Yeah, but we told him, hey, we can give you more if we do a subject to, instead of borrowing money and paying higher interest.
Right.
That and then we give you less. So we gave him that option, a subject to. So and we helped them relocate, and just their countenance after that conversation, just the whole process, man, they were just, burden was lifted.
Yeah, you could tell, right? Yeah.
Burden was lifted.
They were walking around lighter.
Yeah.
Well, which is cool, because that feeling is almost more important sometimes than the money.
Payday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and it feels that much better. So I feel like we have to touch on this, is that we are problem solvers, right? We're problem solvers, and subject to just adds another thing to the quiver, right?
Yep.
And when you walk in there and you're able to present options to a homeowner, then they're more likely, you know what I mean, to first go with your company. But almost it's a responsibility of ours to be able to do that. So I mean, you guys totally went above and beyond on that one. That's unreal.
Well, I think that's why it's important for investors to not just be a one-trick pony. It's cash or nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to have all the tools in your
You
tool
gotta be
belt
creative
to be able to solve people's problems. You
Yeah,
know, because
exactly.
people need it. People need help. Yeah.
So in fact, when we started rehab, we actually, because they told us, there was a leak here at one point, we fixed it. That's what they said, right? So when we got into it, I'm like, let's demo this part where they said that there was a leak. Black mold.
Active.
And they were living there.
They're living in it.
Yeah, in that, so we got rid of all that. We actually paid a guy to come test the black mold, found out it was active. We cleaned it up, and then we actually got him back to test it, and then we disclosed that as part of the disclosure when we sold it. That, hey, there was black active mold. This is the report, and then we fixed it. Here's the report showing that we fixed it, and so forth, and things like that. So that was our first child, was our subject to.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's an amazing, beautiful first child.
Yeah. So, but this couple was just like your average family that they invested in a home, and they've been working at their jobs for over 30 years, but they don't make that much. They were pretty content. They were happy where they were at with their lifestyle. He loves to fish, and things like that. And she's just stay-at-home mom. So, but their plans was to move to Big Island after and buy a property over there, and it's way cheaper, and just retire over there. So, that was their goal, and we're just happy that we're able to help them in that regard. So.
I love that. Before we move on, I kind of want to take a step back and talk about, you guys are our first partnership we had on the have had on the podcast.
Yeah.
So how was the dating phase? How did you guys know that you guys could work together? How did you figure out roles? Just like explain how you're like, okay, I genuinely like this person.
Yeah.
I feel like we can do business together, because once you're on an LLC,
Dude, you signed that LLC. You guys you're married, right?
Yeah.
So what are the characteristics in a good partner?
why does this work, and how did you find that?
So first thing I did was a background check on this guy.
Came back clean.
Yeah, the background check, just the normal stuff, right? Yeah. Any red flags here?
I subscribe to LifeLock. You didn't get anything.
I subscribe to LifeLock.
No, but the first deal was we going back to that, it was the smoothest deal we had, that multifamily. And we just vibed, right? And we're like, okay, this Suso thing is good, right? So let's keep it going. But it was actually his idea. Let's merge. You bring the construction background with you, and I'll bring the corporate side. I'll run the back office, admin, and then you handle the construction portion, and then we'll share some of the other things like raising money, finance, things like that. That was kind of the pitch, and we're like, let's do it.
Yeah. So you kind of knew your roles prior to even doing a deal together, because you knew your strengths and you knew your strengths, and you're like, this is what I like. Because when we're a partnership, even though we're married,
A little bit different. Yeah.
We were both doing everything and marching in the same direction, but how he does one thing, I do it different. You know what I mean?
And
so
then
like,
we both do it better.
So we were
right.
butting heads. You know what I mean? So do you guys ever butt heads, or do you guys literally know your lanes and you come together when you have? You know?
No, there's a few times where like we're like we're not. Hey, this is so we'll figure it out, right? So and but yeah, we look okay. Who has this strength? Who has this weakness? We kind of complement each other and things like that. But like for me, I'm like a go, and Edgar is like, hey, let's pull back. Let's make sure we're doing it right. And so I'm grateful for that, right? You know, like sometimes you get so excited, you jumping into things, but you gotta pull back and make sure that you're doing things right. Like for example, that family when he brought up the idea, like, hey, let's hire an attorney. I'm like, why? We're wasting money on an attorney. It's like, well, just got to make sure that because these people are older people, we're not taking advantage of them. I'm like, I think they understand what we're talking about, you know, so we're good there. And like, no, let's hire an attorney. And I'm like, okay. So when the attorney came back and said, you guys got to come up in price.
Right? Yeah. You got to pay more.
Yeah. But he upped us by $150K.
Oh, it wasn't a little bit.
Yeah. And I was like, see what you did? Nah, just kidding. See what you did? No, but I'm like, you know what? I think we're doing the right thing.
In the end, it's the right thing to do.
You gotta be able to go to sleep at night.
Totally.
Yeah.
See, you guys balance each other out. There's checks and balances. You know, you guys balance each other, and I feel like that's the key to a good partnership. Because if you were both like gung ho, like don't think about it, just do. You know, you probably would have wound up in more trouble, right, or more riskier situations. And I'm sure you could have navigated through. But it's good to have that. Are you guys the same? Do you think you're the same? Do you think your personalities are different? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like in any visionary and integrator relationship, there has to be two. There has to be one of each for it to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're rooted in our culture, right? So, and our culture, the first thing that we speak about is respect, right? So we got to respect each other. You know, we also have mentors that we speak to that we share. And we could defer to our mentors if there's a big conflict, right? And we have open discussions about that. If there's something where we can't, you know, if neither party wants to give away, then we need to pull somebody else in to give guidance, someone that we respect. And
it's actually what we talked about when we were drafting out our operating agreement. It's like, okay, what's the tool that we're going to use to arbitrate this agreement and so forth, things like that. Mm-hmm. So we kind of thought this out, you know, before we signed that paper.
That's so cool. Yeah. So like a third party, unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
That third party has to be somebody that is like us, you know, rooted in the same culture, and somebody that with the right, you know, background to sort of give us the right direction. You know what I mean? So we've gone to that. We've triggered that a couple times, but you know, it comes down to roles and responsibilities, right? But there's intermingling responsibilities. We're both responsible to grow the business. We're both responsible to make sure that, you know, we have properties in the pipeline. We're both responsible for raising money, you know. So, but other than that, you know, there's like he said, operational and admin and believe me, I don't want to do anything with construction. I had my fill. I'm done.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to get out of that. Right. So I just want to collect the checks, but anyways, but we're always on the phone every day. We're bouncing ideas off each other, like, hey, what do you think about this? And so we're always talking. We're always talking.
It's important. It's important to have a partner that pushes you and inspires you as well, right? Like that. I mean, we're married, so we're stuck together, but we chose to go into business, and it just so happens that we figured out we're also good business partners, right? But I appreciate having somebody to bounce an idea off of and an opinion off of, and somebody that has a different perspective, because solopreneurs don't have that, right? Yeah. So I feel like we got to level up on the game. In some ways,
I agree, and it makes it fun when you're doing it with somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
So we got rid of the flipping usos because we're like, I think it kind of sounds a little bit. It has like a negative.
It's like a WWE or something.
WWE.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, we're trying to be professionals here. So let's get rid of the. We're not trying to be a gang, So we're like, so we got rid of that. HI HOMEBUYERS. So we went from being a gang to being HI home buyers, right? But we get high out of helping people.
Yes.
Dude, helping people. Emotional highs.
Yeah, emotional highs. So good highs, not the bad ones.
Don't do drugs, people.
Yeah.
So what does your team look like now? Is it still just the two of you?
Yeah, no, we've onboarded, some help for marketing and acquisitions. So it's a aspiring investor as well that doesn't have the capital to to purchase properties and do rehab. So, we had a discussion with him and Kevin. Shout out to Kevin.
Kevin.
So he's been a great addition to the team, and it's awesome to sort of pass on the knowledge and teach someone. Because we absolutely don't believe in a scarcity mindset. There's more than enough properties out there. The coolest part about onboarding Kevin is when we gave him his first check. You know what I mean? And he's holding this thing. He's like, it's a 5-figure check, and he's like, sometimes I got to work, almost months and almost a whole year, to get this. And so it's super cool. And I think the next phase is for us to sort of figure out how to get some help for Doge on the construction side now that we've onboarded a couple of bigger projects. My wife's been a crucial part of the team. She's just not on the actual entity, but she also acts as a check for both of us and especially me.
Yeah. So she's your realtor. She sells your properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Nice.
so cool.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
super cool.
So Doge is looking for a project manager. If they're hiring.
We literally just hired a project manager. Yeah. Well, our second project manager.
Shout out to my brother.
Yeah.
You want to come to work for me? I got some benefits.
No, I feel like you get to a certain point in your business, and in order for you to start scaling and achieving bigger goals, right?
Yeah.
And helping more people, you have to start delegating, because you guys have the same amount of projects I feel like we got going on at any given time, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
Tons. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that we're after the same thing, time freedom.
Yeah.
You know
Lifestyle
what I mean?
by design. Like literally the reason why we become entrepreneurs, but as we both know, that fix and flip space is a very active, you're an active participant, right? So,
and I can't say that we will ever stop fixing and flipping, because we love doing it.
Process.
The process.
The transformation, taking basically an old rundown, almost unlivable home and making it beautiful again, and bringing it back to inventory for local families to live in. Like, you can't beat that. So I don't think we'll ever stop. But we were asked to speak at a WNN event 2 nights ago, I feel
couple nights ago, yeah.
And they're like, how are you scaling your business? And I like over in the kitchen, I was like, how the heck are we scaling our business? And we thought about it, and the 3 things that came up, well, 4, the foundation obviously is mindset and your guys' values and morals and culture. And then the first one was marketing. You sound like you figured that out, with like you're hiring an acquisition guy and growing the team, and then delegation and putting the right butts in the right seats. And I feel like that's probably the hardest part, even for any business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hiring and managing people, but so important to pour into other people and teach. And that's what a lot of my time is right now, because I just hired my brother, but I also hired an admin girl to help me, because as you know, there's a lot of paperwork when you're buying deals and selling deals and managing all of it and dealing with hard money and private money,
transaction coordination, all this stuff.
So I'm trying to create systems and write down and get it out of my head, because I know it, right? And it's easy, but like no one else can know it. So getting all the steps, even though they're simple steps, out of my head onto a piece of paper so that I can give it to anybody. Let's say I lose my admin girl, I have to redo it. I rehire. I can give it to her, and they can follow the steps, and the same thing will get done. The end goal is the same, and it'll get accomplished. So that's what I'm desperately working on right now, working on my business versus in my business, right? So that I can delegate. And then the third thing that I think is helping us scale is something you guys have already mastered, which is networking. And being loud about what you're doing, and coming from, you said it at the very beginning, giving value to get value, and just being loud and talking to people and forming relationships and having integrity. When we were first starting, we reached out to you, and you just willingly said, "Yep, I'll come eat. I'll come chat with you."
I would have came for the food. That's
And like that though is I think why we're so gravitated towards you, because a lot of people, we reached out to a lot of people and that's not what we got. And so that's, I think, abundance and treating people with respect and coming from a place of value and giving is why we gravitate to you guys so much, because we come from that place too. And I think that's the key to scaling, those 3 things.
I think ever since I got into real estate, I get so excited about it that when there's people that want to learn or know about it, you know, I'm always willing to help, especially my family. So I was able to kind of help a couple of my family members buy from family off market.
Nice.
And you know, just have them have the opportunity to own real estate,
Right.
So cool.
and build wealth.
Right.
You know, so it's been awesome to see that.
Big time. And it's something that it's only because you are knowledgeable about that in this space, right? So now you're able to pass it on to your family. That's like a huge thing.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like it's your duty, obligation, responsibility. Now that you have like, I have the answer, and you have to share it. So what strategies are you guys focused on now?
Our primarily is just fix and flips right now. So, and Waianae was actually our first new build. So that's been great. In fact, our subject to property that we talked about, our private money lender on that project is our partner on Waianae, Caroline. So shout out to Caroline.
Nice.
She's Fortune Builders too, right?
Yeah.
So
she's such a nice lady.
Yeah, she's awesome. We built a relationship from our subject to property, and then that kind of transitioned into our new build. So this is our first new build, and then we just closed on one in Ka'ava a couple of days ago.
Nice.
So that one comes with permits already approved.
Okay. I think we talked about that one a little bit. Yeah.
So we're gonna be building 2 new single families on that one.
Cool.
Nice. It's empty lot now.
Empty lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So empty lot. They had the permits approved already. Actually, it was an MLS deal.
There's deals on the MLS.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So we been looking at it. You know, stuff on the MLS. I go look at it. What I track is days on market, price drops. I just look for those key indicators.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, there's motivation there. So let's get into it.
Let's dig in a little deeper on this one. Yeah.
Networking with realtors is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get a gauge of what you're working with. You know, if they're representing the seller, you know, if you got a good relationship, then you can have a productive conversation about what they're looking for and seeing if you can come to the table and fulfill that need.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
So in the same way we share, our deals with private lenders, we do the same thing with realtors. You know, and a lot of realtors, they don't necessarily understand how we approach business or how we see real estate. It's a different lens. Educate them and bring them on board. Yeah,
I love that. I feel like we do a lot of marketing, but our best deals and most consistent deals come through referrals. And a lot of those are with realtors, and we do something called realtor outreach. What basically we're just doing that. We're educating realtors on an option that we can provide, right?
Yeah.
And make it a win-win situation for everyone. So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, well, and it shows realtors that they can do it too, right? Because they're the ones selling and buying, representing buyers and sellers all the time. And I'm sure a lot of them were like, I want to get in the game.
Yep.
So now they're like, okay, I can. And you educate them how to flip their lens from realtor to investor, and they can start doing it and creating that wealth for their families too.
So yeah, in terms of like the strategies we're focused on, it's interesting. Our partnership actually is, our primary focus is fix and flips. Yeah. And in terms of buy and holds, there's a lot of different strategies out there, but our partnerships allow us to, if Doge wanted to, take on a property as a long-term hold on his part, then there's just an open discussion, and I'm okay with that. Same thing with me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we could build our own individual portfolios,
right? And
then HI HOMEBUYERS is jamming out the fix and flips.
Yeah, so like building all the active income, and then you guys have the ability to go off, branch off, and then build your own portfolios alone. See, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody understands it. In a partnership, there's not just one way that it has to be, right? Like you can have a partnership still do other things as long as it's laid out in that partnership. So yeah, I feel like that's super cool.
In fact, that new land acquisition, so I'm partnering with my brother. He's an electrician. So we actually have Edgar represent us as buyers. So we still were able to monetize the situation.
Right. Nice.
And so forth. So
Very fluid in how we approach real estate. You know, there's no one way to do this. And, you know, when you start trying to apply, you know, stringent, like, you know, restrictions, then sometimes that creates the conflict, right?
Animosity.
The tension.
The tension. Yeah, big time.
As long as it's a win-win situation, you're good. Sorry, honey, you cannot go get deals and buy
I'm gonna build my portfolio
without
me.
That's not applicable. In this
No, but I
partnership.
love that you guys did bring that up, because I know we share the same mindset that the end goal is really to build this portfolio, right?
Build
like we're all in it for that legacy, the generational wealth stuff that we can pass on to our families, and the cash flow, right? Passive income. So yeah, that's, I mean, same thing we're doing, you know, active income through the fix and flip allows us to be able to start building those portfolios. So I think that's super important to note.
Totally. You mentioned that Waianae ground up. That was the first ground up that you did. Was that the last deal that you guys have done?
Nope. I think our last one, well, it's kind of still active right now.
Yeah,
so
you guys are listed, right now?
Yeah, we're incoming soon
nice.
on MLS right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
nice.
our first open house would be next week, I believe. Our
Sick.
broker's open, so I'll shoot you guys an invite.
Yeah.
That's
No, dude, big time. Would love to
exciting.
come by.
But our last one was actually a flip in Eva Beach, and this was through the efforts of Kevin.
Nice.
Marketing.
Yeah.
We were able to get this one.
Right.
So we got in there. It was a family again, a situation. The house was real run down, but the situation was the dad was retired. He had some medical issues, and the son had to pretty much stay home full time and take care of his dad. Yeah. So they were living on a very fixed income, which was basically Social Security and retirement. And so they didn't really have the funds to really maintain a house and so forth. So when we got into it, the son was actually scheduled to go into a surgery, and his concern was who's going to look after my dad,
Right.
and if I was to put him into a care home, how am I going to pay for that?
Right.
You know. So that's how we got into it. And we identified the need, the problem, and we were able to buy it. Actually, we were going to do subject to on that one too as well.
Okay.
But we ended up having a ton of private money lenders wanting to lend on the deal. We're
There
like,
you go.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, let's get you guys feet wet. So
Yeah.
we got them in. We funded the whole thing through private money,
Nice.
the purchase, the rehab, and then we're able to help that family with their situation. So, in fact, they took that equity that they made, and because the brother lives down the road,
Okay.
and they moved in with the brother after his surgery, and used that money to fix up the brother's house and create a space for the dad.
For the dad. Oh, nice. So cool.
So
That's amazing. So that's the last deal that you guys, start to finish, I guess, did.
yes, sold. Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah.
So-
Do you know how Kevin got it? Like what marketing strategy he was using?
Bandit sign.
Bandit
Oh,
signs.
nice.
Yeah.
Bandit signs work.
What marketing strategies are you guys using? So bandit signs, are you guys doing any direct mail? Like, what are you guys doing?
You know, to be honest with you, we're utilizing all the obvious tools that, you know, you can find information on how to execute online easy. I mean, you could just watch IG videos all day with these investors sharing.
Totally.
So much information.
There's no secret,
Yeah.
you know, so we're just doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all about execution
Right.
and consistency.
See,
Consistency.
I was waiting
That's
for you
the
to
word.
say that. Yeah.
It's consistency. Like there's really nothing one that works. Is being consistent.
Yeah.
And it's not even how much money you have. It's you can build campaigns on a small budget.
Yep.
So long as, again, the two key words is execution and consistency.
Yep.
And you know, you got to when you get the opportunity, you have to swing the bat.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't back away and say, well, they're never going to agree to my offer. They're never going to agree to me being a buyer or negotiate with me. You got to get past that and get to the point where you make your offer. You do what you're supposed to do.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a two-pronged thing, right? Because you can put all the marketing out and be consistent with it, but if you don't know how to close the deal, or when the opportunity comes in, you're too afraid to swing the bat, right? Or take that next step, then you never get any deals. And I love that, because I feel like a lot of people are looking for a magic bullet with the marketing,
the easy
right?
button.
And there is none. And it's a common theme when we're talking to people. It's like, dude, you don't need a ton of money, but you have to be consistent, right?
Yeah, put in the work.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's extremely competitive out there. It's been a seller's market, and specifically Oahu, right?
Yeah.
And you're not the only investor in town,
right?
So you just got to trust in yourself and what you prepared yourself to do, and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That. So cool.
I love these questions that I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. So what is the biggest challenge you guys have had to overcome in your investing journey so far? It can be together or separate.
We have our own paths.
Totally.
Nice. Yeah, totally.
I know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to, take away, Doge's lessons in life.
Yeah.
Totally.
Totally.
I get it. Yeah, I'd love to hear from both of you guys.
I think the biggest one for me right now is trying to find balance between doing all this and family. Trying to spend time with family, wife and kids, and play that role. So that's kind of, so I'm trying to not do work on certain days.
There you go.
After hours, weekends, use that to spend with family. I think that was my current challenge right now. But when I first started, it was the mindset.
Yeah.
Like looking at money differently, right? That was one of the biggest challenges when I first. I was like,
I'm so glad you said that.
I was like, hey, there's good debt, there's bad debt. What do you want to do? How do you achieve this goal of financial freedom, buying your time back so you can spend it with family?
Yeah.
So that was, for me, was mindset, because I was taught to go to school, get a good grade, get a good job, secure that job. That's it.
Work for someone for your whole life, and then retire, and that's it.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand what good debt and bad debt is. Do you want to elaborate on that as much as you can?
Buying asset is a good debt because it's something that appreciates,
right?
Like real estate. But buying a nice car, it's good, but once you drive it out the lot, the value goes down. So I think that's, and then your wants and your needs, right? You gotta separate what you want and what you need. Will this help me get to my goals faster, or is this just something short term that will just make me?
I love the mindset thing too, and that was a challenge for me in the beginning, because I feel like just society teaches us a certain thing, right? And we kind of build these little bubbles of beliefs that we have, and for me it was hard when we were first getting started. I totally bought into my parents, like, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna make this much, and so understanding that there was more out there and getting my mind right before I really dove in as best as I could, because honestly, mindset is a constant thing that we have to work on, and I still am trying to level up my mindset. Like, things that I thought were impossible to do, we're doing now, right? So exactly. You break through a barrier and you're like, holy crap, there's so much more opportunity. Like, I was thinking too small. So I think the mindset thing is also something that is a work in progress.
Every day.
And I think that helped us progress, because when we're like, we went from single family, multi-family, and we're like, hey, let's do new construction. Why not? Right? Where do we get the money? We'll figure it out. So.
And that's the attitude that you got to have. If you tell yourself, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, or that's too hard, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So I love that. You guys are constantly pushing yourselves to do new things and exciting things. And it's proof of concept for everybody else. If you guys can do it, we can do it.
Oh, yeah. Anyone can do it.
Yep. Love that.
Anyone can do it.
I guess in terms of lessons, it comes down to mindset. I think I'm still working on it. Is I'm in a constant. I have more of an operational brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I always got to see everything from A to Z, 1 through 5. It's outlined.
Yeah.
So I tend to get trapped in pursuit of perfection.
Okay.
And so sometimes it doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
You got to have high standards, but it doesn't need to be perfect. So by letting go of that pursuit of perfection, you're going to be a lot more happier and appreciate the work that you're putting forward, because other people are appreciating it. It's still something that is constant work. Because
I'm a recovering perfectionist as well.
Still recovering, but yeah. So
long as the buyer on the other end appreciates your work and is excited about it, then I guess we have a different eye in terms of how we see things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my takeaway is just as long as you're operating with integrity and you're putting forth your best effort, then that's perfect.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like our superpowers are a blessing and a curse sometimes, right? So like the things we're really good at can be, because that's a very important skill to be able to see numbers like that and analyze things from A to Z. But then at the same time, if you let it overcome you, then it can be a detriment to you as well. So yeah, I love that. And you don't have to be perfect, right? Like it's okay to be good enough sometimes.
Well, done is better than perfect, right? But your skill is similar. I think our roles are kind of similar in our businesses, where they go and say, let's do all this stuff, but you make sure it actually happens. You make sure it
throw a flag on it.
You make sure I'll do my job and I'll be out here, but I need you to actually make sure it gets across the finish line and make sure everything, I's are dotted, T's are crossed. You know what I mean? I might be wrong, but it's a super important skill set, and every business owner needs to have it, but it's super stressful. And if you can master that and let go of the perfectionist part of it, and it's all right, but it's done, we moved on, we're good. I'm right there with you, brother.
So speaking to new investors out there, you don't want to get caught up in the perfect company name. You don't want to get caught up in the perfect logo. And that stuff it's important but irrelevant at the same time.
Totally.
Totally. You can always change the company name. We're a perfect example, right? We dumped the flipping to the new investors out there who are trying to figure it out is just go. That's half the battle. Is just that's more than half the battle. Is just committing yourself to take what's in front of you, and whether it's perfect or not, and just have at it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and in addition to being perfect, I think it's important that we fail too as well, because we learn from that, right?
Yeah.
We haven't had anything go to plan all the time. Nothing's been perfect.
Really?
Yeah. Surprise.
Not all smooth sailing.
Yeah.
So it's been hell for me. That's
Right, me too.
Yeah. Like Princess Poppy said, it's not all cupcakes and rainbows.
That's how you know he has daughters.
Yeah. So we can use that analogy, we're bound to fail sometimes, but I think the key is we got to pick ourselves up.
Yeah.
And we got to move on. Life doesn't always go our way. We just got to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And we take those lessons learned because they're value. They just make us a better person, a better investor from yesterday. So, there's never a perfect scenario. So we can only get better from there.
I couldn't have said that better. I feel like in any industry, but especially real estate, it's a roller coaster. The highs are highs and the lows are low.
Yeah.
And they're scary and they're dark, right?
Yeah.
And the weight to execute is very heavy, So but that's in the lows, and the hard is where the character is built. That makes you a better person and a better investor.
Absolutely.
So I couldn't have said that better. Yeah. So good. Okay, so now flip it. You talked about the challenges.
Biggest triumph.
Biggest success. Biggest triumph.
I think besides building wealth and just the knowledge is helping families.
Love that.
Yeah, build wealth out of real estate. You know, so that's the biggest challenge for me is just getting to help family, especially my family, and see them, you know, take advantage of real estate to help them in their situation too as well. So and my biggest goal in life is to make more than, you know, I can afford to live off, but help my parents, siblings, and just get them in a better situation. So that's kind of my goal. And
money is just a tool,
Yep.
right, to achieve whatever it is. And people are like, oh, they just want to make money. And it's like, of course I want to make money, but it's not about making the money. It's about what the money will do for my family,
making
for
money
my
matter.
Yeah.
For my children, and then for my community.
Well, that's the thing. You're a good person at heart. So the money is just a vehicle to be able to help more people. The more, like, I hear that all the time. Like, our mentor talks about it, which is why we were drawn to him. But the more money you make it's not like for material things and such. It's literally allowing you to then give back more. Right. Yep. So I think we share that definitely.
I guess just the relationships that I've found and grown with, you know, like my partner right here on the side of me, and there's a number of other investors out there that we've I feel like we've grown up with as well. And every time we meet up, there's this you know, I get energized, you know, and so, you know, and it's the relationships that have been developed not through real estate, but because of real estate. You know what I mean? It's I've seen growth, you know, and in my network, my personal network, and it's not necessarily for business purposes. It's just I'm continuing to add good, great, genuine people into my sphere, and that's it's hard to sort of you know, translate that into you know, anything you can use day to day. But you sort of do use it day to day. Does that make sense?
100%. No, I think it resonates with us wholeheartedly because you are who you surround yourself with, and it's so cool if you're able to have people in your close circle that are elevating, achieving their goals, and they're better people than they were 5 years ago, and you see the growth in them, you see the growth in yourself. That's what life is all about.
Yeah, big time.
It's awesome.
I love that. Okay, if you could go back to the beginning, what's one thing you would do differently?
Or would you?
Yeah, or would you?
I guess when I read that question, I'm like, man, this is like to me, it's a tricky question. Like, where is the beginning for me, right? I think my biggest regret is why didn't I do this sooner?
Right.
Like, you know,
right.
Before I even got married, hey, what were you doing? You're just wasting a lot of time. But yeah, for me, if I could go back in time, is I would have done this a lot sooner. Yeah. But no regrets.
I love that.
Yeah. Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, I wish I was started when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
When you're like legal to get a job.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think about this question a lot because I mean, we ask everybody it, and I think that's what it is. Like so like how many more people could have we helped if we got started a lot earlier?
So I'm gonna put this out there. I think you guys know Josh Hopper.
Yes.
Great guy. I met him at our meetup.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whose son is that? That was when I first saw him, I was like, whose son is that? And then when I started talking to him, I found out his background. I'm like, man, this guy is so mature for his age.
Right.
What was I doing at his age? Right?
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing?
He'll be cool to bring on your podcast.
Oh,
dude, he's coming on.
He's coming on.
He's got a great, you know, and I'm like, okay. I actually told I think I told my sister, I was like, hey, I did tell my sister. She has a daughter just graduating high school right now, going off to college. I said, hey, I think I found someone that could date her. You know?
Yeah.
Cool guy, right? I'm trying to.
You need to hang out.
Yeah,
with
I'm
him.
trying to set up. You know, my nieces and nephews. Set the things in motion. but yeah, like, you know, just going back, I think it's just there's a saying I used that a few times. It's by Zig Ziglar. You don't. It's something about you don't have to wait to be great. You just gotta start somewhere, right? You know, so something like that. So I'll get that quote later.
Let's see here. If I can go back, you know, I think I'm going to answer with something specific to how we run our business.
Love it.
Asset protection. Absolutely. Like understanding how to work taxes, your books, and I mean, it's been a roller coaster of a ride for me. and it's still a continuous education approach to this, and it will never be done. But that's something that for all you rookie investors out there, it's something that's going to sort of accelerate your business, because if you make mistakes in that arena, it costs you, and it's controllable. You can absolutely control it by hiring the right CPA and picking their brain and applying the what you can in terms of knowledge. So it's something I'm continuing to invest in, to ensure that HHB is successful. But it applies to everything in life, right? Like, they say to rich people, they figured it out in terms of how to manage their taxes, right? It's not about, withholding what Uncle Sam and the state of Hawaii is due. No. It's about ensuring that you're applying all the best practices to limit your tax liability. That's
and the IRS literally gives you a roadmap on how to not pay taxes, or at least lessen that
they have
amount.
Certain rules in there that all we have to do is know how to apply them and where they apply. And that's the thing. Like, you have to be up, like, it takes some time and effort and education and money spent on these people that are experts in that. But I 100%, like, we could talk about corporate structures, LLCs, for I feel like a whole nother podcast. But
that's
it's so
super good advice.
It's super important to note that. Yes, for sure.
Because it's funny, right? Like, for you to go and get financing, sometimes in a traditional from a traditional lender, what are they going to ask for?
All the things.
Your tax tax documents. And if you don't have that squared away, and you can't apply for funds, you can't raise money.
It's totally.
So it's again, the operational mindset that I'm constantly in. It's just been something that it takes a lot of time to sort of learn and apply.
Nice.
Because it's not how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep.
Think about something that you want to leave the audience with, and in the meantime, where can people find you guys?
You can find me on the North Shore. No, just kidding.
On the North Shore.
I have my personal Instagram handle. It's my first and last name, Dodgeron Meredith. And then we also have our entity. It's HI HOMEBUYERS.
Nice.
And then Edgar has his,
just find me through Dodge.
There you go.
Love it.
We'll put all their information below. So you guys can find them there.
So if you have money to lend, find me.
There you go.
And we'll put it to work.
That's
Always.
what it's about.
We'll close with this. What impact do you hope to leave with the audience?
I think the theme that when we started was if you're married, right, or in a relationship, communicate with your significant other. Let them know what your plans is, and you'll be surprised. They'll support you. And then, you don't have to be perfect. Just get it done.
Love that.
You don't have to finish it. Just start. So.
Nice. Love that.
Just be open and honest about what you're doing. Be proud of the work that you're trying to execute, that you are executing. It's what we do is a service to the community. I absolutely see that and believe wholeheartedly that's what we do. So I like to share that with people. I know Dodge does too, and I'm sure you guys agree. It's in early on, and for new investors, is they probably hold back a little bit. I'm pretty sure I did too. I didn't want to share it, but the moment I started to say this is what I do, people started to have conversations, and that's all you want, is just to have a conversation. It doesn't always have to be business. It doesn't always have to be about a property or lending. Just develop that relationship, and then who knows? They may know somebody that needs help. They may know somebody that wants to invest. And that's usually how you grow your business, right? Especially island style, it's word of mouth, right?
So it's open your mouth.
Yeah.
Just open your mouth.
There you go.
Because you never know. You never know who you talk to, right?
Dude.
Just open your mouth. Let them know what you're doing, because that might be a lead to a deal or funding or whatever the situation may be.
Life-changing opportunity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Super resonate with that.
All right, guys, this has been super fun. Thank
super
you
fun.
so much for coming.
We appreciate you guys so much. I mean, honestly, from the beginning, you guys have been
Number one.
inspiration to us. So like it's an honor to have you guys on and just share your story, you know. And I feel like we share the same like core, you know what I mean, in our businesses and what we believe in, and our willingness and want to help other people, and especially like newer investors that are in the game. So dude, thank you for taking time out to come by.
This has been great. Thank you.
Definitely a blessing to share.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed it. It's been an hour and a half. Didn't realize how fast time would fly. So it's been great. So the honor has been ours. To be honest, you guys have been awesome. Just seeing you guys kill it has been an inspiration to us too as well. So
nice.
I love it.
Yeah, and who knows? And maybe in the future we'll do a deal together.
Dude, let's go.
Let's do some commercials.
Oh yeah. Let's get into some syndication.
Exactly.
Dude, let's do it.
Exactly.
I'm so down. Right on.
How do we help ourselves in the community grow?
Exactly.
Yeah, big time.
Exactly.
Right on. That's
All
what
right,
it's about. Right on, you guys.
Chi.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Like you thought I would. It's all good.